All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's event. I'm Jason Gumpert from MS Dynamics World. Really pleased to welcome you all to this session all about the art of embedded AP automation. As we get started, please do know that we welcome your questions during this event. You can look for the questions block in the webcast interface, and our presenters will take those questions and answer them just after the session ends. We're also recording today's event. We'll be making it available on demand later as well. But without any further delay, I think we're ready to begin. I'm going to hand things off to Morgan to get us started. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Jason. So thank you for having us to talk about our solutions today. My name is Morgan Johnson. I'm the Senior Director for Customer Success here at SignUp Software North America. I've had the pleasure of working with SignUp since the inception in North America and been in the Microsoft Dynamics world for over 20 years. I'm also joined with my colleague Mark Palo, who's a Senior Solution Advisor who will present our solution for you today there. But before we start looking at a solution, just want to take a moment to introduce you to who SignUp Software is and a little bit about our story. So we're a Swedish company, headquarters in Stockholm, and we only focus on embedded ISV solution for the Microsoft Dynamics. Our focal point today will be ExFlow AP automation, but we have a broad of other solutions in our portfolio that I will briefly mention later on. We were founded in 1999, so we got over 25 years of experience. We have the pleasure of servicing over 2,000 customers worldwide, and we're well above 200 employees across the globe, with more than 30 employees here in North America there. And looking a little bit at our timeline. As mentioned, we were founded in 1999. Since then, we've grown and expanded with a global footprint. Our first customer here in North America went live somewhere around 2017, 2019. In 2021, we were incorporated here in North America and started building our business as well as we went through an IPO and was publicly traded. It was a short-lived endeavor because in 2023 we were acquired by Insight Partners, which has been an exciting journey for us. We led to the acquisition of Extension that is now merged into the SignUp umbrella. And we also made the recent announcement that we acquired Dynamic Web, so further growing our footprint to come to the vision of becoming the leading ISV provider for Microsoft Dynamics. So where does the SignUp software solution sits in the Microsoft stack? Well, if you look at the Microsoft rooms of the house, ExFlow is our financial automation in the office of the CFO. Extension is our solutions for the office of the COO, more of an operative solutions. So with that, within our solution stacks of ExFlow, we're going to focus on ExFlow AP and the power of embedded AP automation. We'll also touch on our ExFlow data capture solution, which is white labeled OCR solution powered by Tungsten Automation that we worked with for over 20 years. Also, we do have our extension portfolio pertaining more to the supply chain area of finance and operation. With solutions such as production planning, project management, and project controlling, as well as shipping control and content gate. To give you a brief display on some of the customers using our solution worldwide, you can see some familiar logos here and the breadth of anything from smaller entities to larger enterprises, as well across all different industries. ExFlow is truly a horizontal solution working for all industries. And we wouldn't be able to be delivering our solution without our partners. So here are some of the partners that we work with worldwide. As I mentioned in the earlier slides, we have over 150 partners we work with to implement and provide our solutions across the globe. Going into our specific solution, ExFlow. So what would be the key considerations to why choosing ExFlow in front of other AP automation solution? Well, first of all, we're fully embedded into D365. So there's no data replications. It's leveraging your ERP investment and no data replication, as I mentioned. So whatever chart of accounts, dimension validations, set up for procurement and for project management, etc. It's all enabled by using ExFlow inside finance and operation. And of course, our OCR capabilities, we can capture all the data, whether it's on paper to scan the invoice, email, and we can also process EDI and CXML invoices. And what will it enable for you as a customer? Well, the key benefits with us being embedded is, again, reiterating the power of being embedded and investing on your previous ERP selection of finance and operation. It's a single source of truth. There is no integration. All data is real time. It's a familiar UI, meaning if you're familiar with finance and operations modules, you will be very easily familiar with ExFlow. Of course, we also offer solutions such as machine learning and RPA, and we're heavily working to assure that we deliver Copilot capabilities in AI. Also want to mention, since Microsoft Finance and Operation is SOC 2 compliance and ExFlow reside inside of Finance and Operation, ExFlow is automatically compliant with that. And of course, we are also SOX compliance if that's something is important to you. So before we go in and look at the solution, I just want to mention a case study that one of our customers conducted out of Europe. So Teleperformance, a large company, they looked at 3 of their business units, one in France and UK and the Nordics, where they looked at different performance of the accounts payable department there. Whereas France, there was no OCR and only leveraging finance and operation, where some increased automation out of UK and a fully deployed ExFlow AP automation solution. And the interesting factor you can see here that invoice processing time went from 17 minutes leveraging standard F&O down to 4 minutes where using the full capabilities of ExFlow. So huge time saving for our customers using our AP automation tool. So with that, I want to give a quick view of the ExFlow AP automation solution. So the first component is OCR, where we offer ExFlow data capture. It is a white label solution powered by Tungsten automation. ExFlow itself is OCR agnostic. However, with our longevity partnership with Tungsten, we can deliver seamless data transfer from ExFlow data capture to finance and operation. And through ExFlow data capture, we can not only process traditional PDF or paper invoices, we can also manage electronic invoices and EDI and XML invoices. Well, in the orange box here, you see that's our AP automation ExFlow, where we process, we import and validate and apply all the business logic that Mark will show for you today. And today we'll focus on some of the advanced features of ExFlow that we are unique with. We can do automatic coding. We can leverage line level interpretation to automatically code into finance and operation. Of course, we can do 3-way matching and 2-way matching there to process your exception-based management. We also have a ExFlow Cloud solution, which is our web approval, enabling more easy approval for users that are not familiar with finance and operation. But we also have some nice sneak preview of a future feature set coming here later this year. With no further ado, I'm going to hand over to Mark, who's going to dive in and talk about these fantastic functionalities. Mark?
Wonderful. Thank you, Morgan. And there's the main screen. Let's start where Morgan left off with ExFlow data capture. And quick analogy and technical setup. When we implement this, it's essentially a forwarding email from your AP inbox or multiple AP inboxes across multiple legal entities, shared services. And so what you're looking at is just a standard run of hundreds of invoices that flow through. They get interpreted, verified, and then ingested automatically right into D365, into the import form that Morgan showed once we're in D365. However, Every now and then, there's going to be invoices that stop in our verification area here. I'll go there next to show you. So I have hundreds of invoices. I've got, 4 or 5 here, specifically for an AP admin to view. And one of the reasonings behind this, of course, is first of all, business rules. If there's anything omitted and not verified, we don't want to push that into D365. We'd like to have eyes on it, and I'm going to show you that. Second could be a business rule like invoices that have dates that are over 60 or 90 days. That may be your business rule. We don't want those going into D365. And of course, fraudulent invoices, no vendor recognized, duplicates and things like that. So let's take a look at what a couple of these invoices might look like. Here's PG&E. I can just simply highlight that line and start. And now this is your first view of AP admin within the EDC extraction tool. And it's very nice UI. I can move the invoices all around. I can parse and have multi-pages and attachments behind this. You can see the navigation here. I can zoom in, I can zoom out. So a lot of very intuitive usability for your AP administrative staff. But you can see this is a no cost expense invoice. So it's not a purchase order with purchase order lines. But if you look down below, you can see we're actually interpreting the lines here. And why did this stop? Because it did not pick up 2 lines. You can clearly see it picked up 2 lines, but omitted 2 more lines. And I can simply come down here and add those 2 lines in and map them automatically so that the total amounts match. Because again, this is not just electricity, it's electricity, gas, delivery charges, etc. So that shows you line interpretation in a non-PO environment. It's very, very powerful. For automation, of course, once we've trained the system, there is machine learning within the EDC, and the next time this energy bill comes in, it will read all of it. A couple of other nice features is, first of all, you can see the total amount is skewed because I haven't added these 2 lines. The second one is the invoice number. I get a warning, so if I highlight that, it's obvious. Mark, I've already got another invoice with this ID and date stamp in it within. So this is a duplicate invoice. And once again, it's stopped within the EDC for AP admin to manage. And you might email or chat or have a call internally. Could be a typing error or some other error from this vendor or supplier. So that gives you an idea of a non-PO cost expense invoice. Let's look at this Wagner Cat invoice real quick. It's another invoice that's stopped in the EDC for verification. And now you can see the opposite. This is a multi-page, hundreds of line items, obviously for product within D365. We've completely mapped all of that, multi-pages and attachments in every single line. Our balance is 48, 84, 43. Notice when I highlight this line, it takes me right to the interpretation. I didn't have to do any manual mapping or anything. This is how we get our customers worldwide to 80 and 90% touchless invoice processing and full AP automation. Once again, my invoice number tab is lit up, and I can quickly see that, once again, this is a duplicate as well. We do not want to shove this into or ingest this into D365 without having eyes on it and management and having internal communications to understand why we're getting a duplicate invoice from one of our top suppliers and vendors. One last one I want to cover is also very key for line interpretation. So let's think about your monthly mobile bill, Verizon, AT&T, etc. Let's open that up and show you some of the capabilities here. This is also a non-PO expense invoice for a total of $915.50. You can see this detail here, okay? But it is questioning this total because there's possibly an error, and you can see this error. It's duplicated a line in the reading, okay? But more importantly, let's go to page 4 here of this invoice. And mobile bills, utility bills, etc., can have many attachments. And mobile bill is no different, where Verizon has justified cost centers here, and they're aligned obviously to my salespeople and their specific cell bills. Down below in the line interpretation, we're actually mapping these cost centers internally to specific main account and GL and main account dimension structures within standard D365. So again, not just PO and basic invoices, we can do a lot of powerful capabilities referencing projects and PMA as an example, referencing a brokerage invoice aligned to your voyage ID and landed costs for those lengthy landed cost IDs and those details. But anyway, in a nutshell, that is EDC. It is a gatekeeper, obviously. I've flowed hundreds of invoices right through the process within D365, but these 3, 4, or 5 invoices obviously needed eyes on for me to ingest them into D365 by simply hitting that OK button. And then lastly, obviously, if I might reject these, I might put them on hold with reason codes in detail as you manage the capabilities to either delete these or fix typing errors or missed fields. It's very common in OCR. Sometimes we have blotchy invoices as an example, and then we move forward. Okay, so the next step here is that was EDC, as Morgan showed you. We're going to go right into D365 now and show you what that looks like internally. So I'll move right over here to D365. This should be recognizable for everyone on D365 F&O or Finance and Supply Chain Management. And to emphasize the embeddedness that Morgan stated, I can just simply go to the ExFlow AP module. And just a quick view without opening up all these setup screens, you can see it's the same architecture. So it's familiar UI and those capabilities. It also contains workspaces that you're used to using in all different facets of your business: AP, AR, procurement and sourcing, sales, production, etc. No different. So easily managed, familiar, and really bringing tremendous value to all of our customers globally. So normally the first place we start now, I'm going to take off my AP admin hat and put on my AP clerical hat, and that is where we enter here in the ExFlow Vendor Invoice Management Workspace. So I'll open that up. It's going to look familiar to you, easily managed, easily personalized, etc. And a couple of key features before I go any deeper. First and foremost, there's 2 very important areas of ExFlow. One is the import form. This is normally where AP works, and it's task oriented, right? So I'm an AP clerk. I've got 9 invoices in the system in a multi-legal entity environment. 8 are assigned to me in the company that I'm working in, but I can also go to quick tasks, right? I've got 3 invoices hung up in the import form without GL coding or dimension coding, etc. Possibly I'm missing a vendor. It wasn't read through OCR, and I will show you that here momentarily. Maybe I'm missing documents, very common in project management, where I have a cover invoice and no supportive documentation for the project controller or the project manager who needs to approve those. They're going to want that attached documentation. And this clearly tells me that we're missing that. It wasn't read in OCR or was not provided with the project invoice as it came through. And then, of course, if I'm missing approvers or I'm outside of the standard approval workflow chain, then this will stop in the import form for AP to suggest approvers and move forward. The second most important area now is approvals. So once AP finishes, which I'll show you here in a moment, is the document form. And Morgan showed it to you in the PowerPoint. We both have a workspace within D365 for those users that do approvals in core F&O or finance and supply chain, and as well in our web approval. So this is more of a monitoring task pane manage your internal personnel on how many invoices are out for approval, how many may be late, what's due within a certain time frame. And as you well know, in standard F&O, you can personalize your own panes to make yourself as most efficient as possible when we deploy and implement this. So you can see I've actually brought over 2 invoices manually from EDC, our extraction capability, that are waiting for me within the import form to bring into the system, and I'm going to show you that. Before I do, let's talk shared services. Watch what I do next. It's just a single toggle button. ExFlow supports multiple unlimited legal entities for centralized AP or even hybrid centralized AP. Maybe 10 of my 20 companies are operating, the other 10 are holding companies. So I want to see all invoices across all 10 legal entities. So all I do, if I have the secure rights to do so, is just show cross company. And this is shared services out of the box with ExFlow. So now I still have my 9 assigned to me in my queue as a AP clerical staff, but I'm also looking at 31 invoices and all of the detail and approvals across all my legal entities in a centralized AP environment. But for the sake of time in the webinar today and moving forward, I'm just going to keep it simple and work within one legal entity to show you this capability. So day in the life of, let's go in and take a look at those invoices. And this is your first view of the import form within ExFlow AP, fully embedded in D365. You can clearly see that in the UI. It's got a header and line detail. Without going one step deeper into edit of each individual invoice. We've got a nice side-by-side view. I can go up into the general tab here and hide that. I can explode this out into full display. And commonly in AP clerical environments, you have multi-display. And so I can actually resize this, get rid of it, and you can see a lot more detail without going one step deeper. And what's key here is you can see a myriad of invoices that, again, as an AP clerk, I've got to manage these and send them off for approval. I can see some are purchase orders, clearly. I can see some are agreements. I'm going to talk about that next. That's a ExFlow function, much like a contract function, for all of your recurring invoices to automatically grab them in EDC from your AP inbox and push them through all the way to the GL, right? Your monthly electric bill, security bill, insurance bills really don't even need eyes on them if they're within the contract parameters that are set within the ExFlow agreement ID. And I'm going to show you that. I can also clearly see these two, this landed cost PO and brokerage invoice, may be duplicates. And of course, for demo purposes today in the webinar, I've put these in here because it's really important to understand the invoice type and the line type. And this is the extraction that Morgan discussed. Line attributes, whether it's PO and PO lines, cost expense invoices, project invoices. You can clearly see here, I've got a purchase order from Asia. And I'll bring this back over to make it a little more clear. Again, nice UI, nice usability there. I want to see this PO. And I can actually drill right to the purchase order because we're fully embedded. I'm not an external third-party system that has to do a call into the D365 database. No different with projects or voyage IDs or any other capability invoice type that you're going to receive. So you can just quickly see this is an item. It's a bunch of Surface Pros that were made in China, and along with it is my brokerage invoice. And now this is a non-PO expense invoice that carries the line type of landed cost and matches your voyage ID and cost buckets, demurrage, duty, tax, freight, ocean freight, air freight, whatever that may be. What a fabulous capability to be able to automatically read all of the lines off a brokerage invoice and insert them and match them to the voyage ID and then post it all the way to the GL and finalize this, what could be complex landed cost transaction. Very powerful. Let's go look at another one here real quickly, Contoso. And you can see, without opening it up and going into the detail, this is a project service company that manage multiple projects within D365. And you can clearly see when we did the line interpretation, we matched it to the different projects and inherited all of the project financial dimensions, categories, and even activities automatically. And then, of course, the approval process of this would not be AP. This would go to a project controller or project manager with all the supportive documentation within the system. But I'm emphasizing just the different detail that is out of the box with ExFlow for all of your different enterprise business needs across multiple legal entities. Okay, the Verizon cell bill, there you go. I showed you that in the EDC, and just a quick eyes on, you can clearly see that we've mapped the line item attributes, i.e. the Verizon cost centers with all of our salespeople's charges, to our main accounts and business units or cost centers or departments, depending on the mapping detail within ExFlow's configuration, automatically. And so, again, tremendous efficiency, tremendous automation for your AP clerical staff. Lastly, I want to go to another capability showing coding and pre-coding. And before I do that, notice I'm on ADT. Let's go quickly look at what an agreement ID is. And I've got that right in my favorites. We'll bring it up now. And this is where you define the business rules and logic for recurring invoices to automate them touchless, completely touchless, all the way to the GL. And you can see my top line here, ADT, and I'll come across to the right to show you the logic. So ADT, right, my security provider, has a account number like you do for your cell bill or your electric bill or any other service vendor. I'm the reference because if the limit on this invoice is over and above what I set in the agreement ID, then it will stop in the import form for AP clerical staff to manage and then forward to me for approval. Usually that's an overage. That's above the target level of what we deem sufficient for full automation. This specific legal entity, again, we shared services, multiple legal entities. It's ADT. There's their vendor account number within core D365 AP. I've defined this period as 1 year. Again, I have corporate insurance here, multi-year contracts as an example, but this for ADT is simply a year. And the invoice reoccurrence is monthly. It could be quarterly, half yearly for insurance payments, etc. And then I set the target detail, the max total for the recurrence of this invoice and the total of that invoice. And you can see I've already processed previous months in here, and normally it's $65. So I put a cap of 75. And I want it to auto approve according to this agreement ID and post all the way to the GL if it's within that range. So this, in a quick nutshell, is how we automate all reoccurring invoices that come through the system. So let's go back to that import form and take a look at a couple of other really nice features for your AP clerical staff. So I'm going to highlight that ADT line and invoice, and I can visibly see I've got no coding. It should have pre-coded, but for some reason it did not. So now, as an AP clerical staff, I'm going to open this up into edit mode, and you're going to see the detail of a single invoice. And this is the normal day-to-day working environment for your AP clerical staff. No different. Header architecture. The second pane is my line architecture, and the third pane is my coding and pre-coding capabilities, as well as managing approvers and attribute mapping like I showed you on the Verizon bill, from a Verizon cost center to our GL and dimension structure. But this is clearly not coded. So again, if I'm a seasoned AP clerk, I know this is probably a security or electric bill. It's a 60,000 series. I can just manually look up, and this emphasizes the embeddedness, right? I'm looking right to the main account structure of this, and I can select it, and then it will automatically help me pre-code the cost center, the business unit, etc. But we have another powerful feature. I'm going to delete that and show this to you. This is called AI and machine learning from ExFlow. So it's a proprietary clustering machine learning engine that comes with the product. I have a configured setting where I tell the system, based on that agreement ID and automatic invoice coding logic, that I've done business with this vendor for years. I get a monthly bill for my security by branch on this account number from this vendor, and it better not be over $75, or it will also stop here for forwarding approval processes. The benefit of that history in your database is what we call automatic pre-coding. So as an AP clerk, I can come up and click on this brainiac here. We joke about that internally at SignUp, but that's what it is. I want the system to tell me how to code this. Just wonderful efficiency for your AP clerical staff. So over history, and I might have multiple lines here of predictive analysis. This one's 97%. I might have had a different invoice with a different nuance that's at 20%, etc. But it allows you to select that line and replace and add the system generated coding. And there you go, I'm done. Very, very powerful. And notice it inherited all of the financial dimensions behind it directly from the machine learning engine that comes with ExFlow out of the box. Quick eyes on the approver. I'll check that. Oh, it's also missing an approver. Well, I know that's Mark Palo, so let's add Mark and do a drop down. This is where you're going to see your position and signing limit hierarchies and the people responsible. Again, not just AP, but it could be project controllers, project managers. There you can see my boss, Morgan, because we're set up in our demo environment for signing authorities. Also, your procurement and buyers may do approvals there on the PO and PO line side. So once again, very, very powerful. I can save this, and then what I'm going to do is just submit this for approval. And that's where we go to the second area within D365, the document form. And I'm going to show you that next. Let's wait for this to process. And there you go. So don't forget, we use the same logging and all the same capabilities that are out of the box with D365. So your info logs, your warnings, your alerts are no different than what you're used to. Again, leveraging the power of D365 and all of the standard feature functions that you're used to in day-to-day, it is no different with ExFlow. Lastly, before I go over to approvals, what are we looking at here? Handwritten invoices. So I want to be really transparent. It's tough for any OCR, including ours, to manage handwritten invoices. And the reasoning logically behind that is because if you write in handwriting outside of a field, it's tough for any OCR to pick it up. Once again, this invoice processed through EDC and stopped in the import form for AP clerical staff to manage it. And I can clearly see that these two numbers don't add up to the total. Why? Because there's an attached receipt with sales tax that was omitted in the scan. And so, of course, I would add the sales tax, balance this, and then send it off for approval for this service invoice for paint or parts and services that were purchased at Home Depot, as an example. Just another great tool of exception management that needs to be verified by your AP clerical staff. All right. The next workspace I want to go to is within D365 approvals. So now I'm taking my AP hat off and I'm putting my approval hat on. I'm an approver. I work within D365. I can clearly see the 6 invoices I've got to approve, and these are representative of the ones I've already shown you within the import form. I've got this broken down. I like these task panes. It's very common across the globe. Many of our customers, their staff, both in AP and within project management, as an example, like to have the invoices and approvals broken down by cost invoices, non-PO, and purchase invoices, PO and PO lines. And then additional task panes, right? I've got 4 due. You know, it's month end. We need to pay our suppliers on time, so I better go after those right away. I've done 12 recently, maybe this morning or yesterday, as an example. I can look at that quick history. And then I'll just open up the 2 purchase orders here to give you a view of the document form of approval within D365. Guess what? The UI looks almost exactly like the import form, just with a lot less data. Commonly, these are executives or managers within the business that don't need all the detail that AP clerical or financial staff would need. Really, I'm just looking at this PO, the dollar amount, the dates, and then I can come in and approve this. Okay. Now I can show the invoice, I can hide side by side. I have that same capability to manage the real estate even on my desktops within an inner office. And the architecture is much the same. The header detail here, the line detail, and the coding and the approvers that came over from AP into the document form. So I can just quickly approve all lines in a multi-line environment, approve this line. I can reject this with reason codes and comments. I can put it on hold as an example, and manage comments and add attachments, etc. So a lot of usability and capability for the approval, as well as drill down into original purchase orders, order numbers in detail, should I need to look it up. So again, very, very powerful from a standpoint of usability within D365. And now what I want to do is show you our web approval, because this is more common. And now you're seeing our web cloud approval tool set. This tool is available on any device, operating system, Android, iOS, etc., all browsers that are acceptable, Safari, Edge, Chrome, etc. And then, as I stated, any device from a real estate standpoint, right? Small smartphones, large smartphones, tablets, you have the capability to move this real estate around, as an example, the way you see fit, normally depending on your device, and it also resizes. One nice feature you're seeing when I first come in to the web cloud and log on, you've got some nice nuances here from SignUp Software. You know, maybe I'm a marketing VP and I went through training, but I only approve my marketing invoices like once a month. And after training, I forgot how to approve an invoice. So we have nice tutorials here, links to our document management. And this is fabulous for post-go live, refreshing, training, new news and releases from ExFlow. So just some niceties that are out of the box. But let's go take a look at what an approval looks like within the system. So I can quickly see when I highlight PG&E, that's that electric services bill. The look and feel lines up on the right, and it resizes, of course, based on your real estate. I can pop this out full screen, etc. I can navigate up and down within the device depending on what I need to look at. And then the architecture is the pane above is more information, okay? Just very powerful, detailed information. And this is a non-PO cost invoice. The center area, of course, is the invoice and attachments themselves. And then on the lower part of the screen is the actual invoice coding. Whether or not your enterprise allows approvers to code or recode, you have that full capability. Actually, about 80% of our global customers really don't allow their executives to code. They just assume it's coming correctly from AP. So we can hide these fields. There's a lot of admin setup capability when we implement and deploy this for your staff. And if your users, make a note of this, are not D365 users, all you need is that inexpensive team license to use our web cloud application for all your external people like project managers in the field, project controllers, executives that don't commonly work in D365, etc. So I can approve this invoice real quickly right off my smart device. I could save it, come back to it. I could reject it with reason codes and comments. I could put it on hold. Maybe I'm sick today in the office, or one of my kids got called from school for an emergency. I could have replacers right here. So I could actually set up Morgan, my boss, and say, hey, I've got to make a run to the school, grab the kid. Would you please manage my approvals? On top of this, within ExFlow setup, we have delegations, right, for common things like calendaring, PTO. So you can automatically date effectively set your replacers while you take your 2+ week vacation to make sure invoices are processed and your suppliers and your vendors are paid. Lastly, I'm going to show you a very extensive purchase order and purchase order line. And the reason I'm doing this is because we have summarization capabilities, right? I'm the approver. I don't have time to look at 500 lines. Or I might have multiple approvers by product categories, as an example, in a 1,000-line purchase order invoice, as an example. So you can clearly see from the import form, AP can automatically summarize 500 lines right into Excel as an attachment. And there it is. So your approver can just quickly look this up, open that file. It's in standard Microsoft platform. I'll show it to you just quickly. And that's what I want to see. It's this purchase order, this vendor, all those lines total, this dollar amount. And this can be summarized by product category as an example as well. So again, very powerful usability out of the box, even within the web app. That's what I'm trying to emphasize. We also have an internal chat with ExFlow users. This prevents you from having to go get on the phone or yell across your cubicles. You may have had a problem all the way from AP clerical staff to the approvers. And I might say, hey, AP, please check this for accuracy. It's a complex invoice and or any other note. This is also powerful because notice it is a database user date and timestamp with these comments that are embedded in the audit trail for your auditors. Very powerful usability. Again, as we all know, auditors don't mess with time on everything that works correctly. They're looking for the exceptions, right? Why are invoices rejected? What's going on with these vendors and these dollar amounts, price variances, quantity variances for purchase orders, as an example. So very, very powerful capabilities. And again, about 80–90% of our global customers deploy our web cloud just because of ease of use and capability for all of those folks in your enterprises. Okay, I would be remiss if I didn't show you a couple of more really nice features. What I want to do now is just simply go back to where we started in the vendor invoice management area and talk about Power BI. So with ExFlow comes a beautiful cube into your entity store to enhance all of your vendor performance reporting as it applies to AP and invoice processing in D365. Where does that reside? Right there in analytics, just like every one of your other workspaces. Familiar, easy to access, and the standard Power Platform, Power BI usability that you're used to. Whether you have a license to further develop here, or your partner does, as an example, or you're just a simple user and you guys know how to use a filter. I might want to look at multiple legal entities or my legal entity by just doing simple filtering. But this comes with ExFlow out of the box for all of our deployments. And it is also broken up by cost invoice overviews, and purchase invoice overviews, and then an aggregate overview that you're looking at right here. So I can look back in time over the last 12 months and look at the cadence of invoicing and the records. I can pop this out full screen, as you well know, with any Power BI, and look at other detail and analysis by all of my vendors as an example. And you can see those ones I have here, Wagner and PG&E, et cetera, as you go back in time 2 years within this cube as an example. Cost invoices, different look and feel. I'm looking only at non-PO cost and expense invoices here in BI, as you can see, all of my vendors and the cadence that those invoices are coming in, and then the volumes as an example. And as I stated, again, at deployment and implementation, we or you and your partner in conjunction with us can reconfigure the Power BI entities to provide the key analysis that are crucial to you and your enterprise across all legal entities. Okay. Purchase invoice, no different than cost invoices, but I want to make a note on one really powerful analysis here. Top 10 worst PO matches. This is a great analysis that helps you and your business with your suppliers, vendors, and those negotiations. Commonly two issues where we can't read their PDF invoices. That's one. And normally that means that they are printing invoices in a 25-year-old dot matrix printer, and when they scan it to PDF, the resolution is too low for our EDC or really any OCR, modern OCR, to pick up. There is a 300 DPI resolution limit, and that is a great opportunity. We picked that up in our analysis that we're having problems with the specific supplier reading those invoices through the EDC. What a great time and an opportunity. The other common one is your vendors that short ship you or create price contract variances continuously, meaning the PO price that I issued doesn't match the invoice price, and that is very common. Well, this analysis picks that up as well, price and quantity variances. What a great opportunity to sit down with that vendor, have a discussion about this complexity, and of course, business-wise, make a decision, maybe I need to source from a better vendor, okay? And then, of course, purchase order invoice details are here as an example, very powerful. And lastly, in our BI, we joke about this internally at SignUp. We call this the wall of shame. This is your internal employees across all legal entities and their cadence of approving on time and in velocity and volume. And you can clearly see, and I've set this purposely for demo, that Mr. Palo has a problem in February because it took 30 days. Well, there's only 28 days in February. That's kind of comical, but it's serious because this allows you to have those internal performance review discussions and actually change processes. As an example, let me look in one of my other legal entities here, and I can see all of my approvers. But Justina here is doing the majority of all approvals compared to these other folks. Now, it could be a project manager with just a few invoices, but why not have a discussion in AP and share the love in a queue or a group of AP clerical? And this analysis helps you understand the volumes and capabilities there, okay? And then lastly, big data. This is for your auditors across all legal entities. You can clearly see this. I have multiple legal entities, shared services out of the box across the globe. That's every invoice transaction in the D365 database, okay, at any status and all of the amounts and currencies, et cetera. You can see all the different global currencies. That's out of the box with your global setup within D365. But more powerfully, even from within BI, I can open up and look at the original invoice and attachment images. And I want to be clear about that. They're not just attached to the PO like in core D365. They're attached, once we've read them through EDC, all the way to the GL for AP clerical, AP controller, CFO, auditors, etc. And look at this, it's even involved within our BI if you want to look it up from here. Okay, with that being said, I do want to show you a little bit of the future. I'd be remiss if I didn't do that. Um, so, oh, I missed one thing. I always do. I'm a supply chain fella, and I want to go back to our standard ExFlow AP module because finance folks love this last feature I want to show you. Create journal for accrual of estimated costs for all open document lines. ExFlow provides auto journaling and reversal for your closing periods for anything open within the system, right? So I could just say, hey, year end, December 31st, my accrual date the same, December 31st as an example, and we can going into the new year, January as an example first, and I want the same reversal date here. You guys can see what I'm doing logically. I'm not going to process this in the interest of time of our webinar, but notice what my inclusions can also be. Include ledger, anything open, any project invoices that are open, purchase orders and items that are open, item charges that may remain open on those PO or other lines, procurement category invoices that remain open, and all kinds of other detail. I run this and it auto journalizes with all of the lines of all of these different types automatically. Again, all of our customers globally love this feature functionality, and especially the finance folks that would normally have to do this in a manual process. I'm not going to process that today in the interest of time, but very powerful accrual and reversal capabilities from SignUp Software for all of our customers. So lastly, I want to show a quick video here. And I am going to bring this up to show you the web cloud application and what we call auto translation. So this is coming up in our next major release this year, hopefully in the May, June timeframe, maybe a little bit later. But what you're looking at is something I've already shown you. This is European in nature, a Swedish invoice. But what if I am the approver and my native language is English? And I want to also emphasize a new pane here, AI and machine learning for your approvals of the confidence level based on historical processing that this will approve based on the vendor, the dollar amount, etc. So I'm just going to run this. There's no audio. I'll just talk to it. It's about 30 seconds. But this is the future, and this emphasizes, as Morgan stated when we started, the growth of SignUp, our development, our capabilities, and what we provide year after year after year in enhancements to all of our global customers. So let's run this real quick and take a look at it. You're going to see it auto highlight after I hit the toggle there. We'll blow it up a little so you can see it. You have the same capability, and it logically translated from Swedish into English so that myself as an English speaking by native can actually look at that invoice in detail. I can toggle back and forth in the supported languages, and then you'll notice the confidence trend there. This is telling me this invoice is about 60%, maybe review some lines, analyze the history, get it up to 85% probability, and then approve that invoice. So again, just a little snippet of the future that I wanted to show you today to end the webinar, because we continuously develop and enhance within D365, the ExFlow product suite, as well as the extension suite that Morgan talked about. So with that, I'm going to pass it back to Morgan for closure, and thank you very much for attending. Definitely contact your partners, contact us directly, and we'd be more than happy to go a much deeper dive into the ExFlow AP automation solutions for you and your future of your enterprise. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark. And yeah, with that, first of all, I want to thank Microsoft Dynamics World for having the opportunity to present in their series Money Talks and showcasing ExFlow's more advanced capabilities. As Mark mentioned, if you would want to know more of our solutions, please send us an email at info@signupsoftware.com or simply go to our website, signupsoftware.com, and click on the Get in Touch. And we can, of course, schedule showcasing of our solutions and capabilities and directors to our wide partner network. Jason, back to you.
All right. Wonderful job. Thank you both so much. And thanks to everyone in the audience for your time and attention. As I mentioned earlier, please do enter your questions here if you have them. Mark or Morgan or another member of the sign up team will get back to you. With that, we are going to end today's event. Have a good day, everybody.